Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Panetta, you eloquently stated your strong support for the White House's supplemental request for Ukraine assistance. Secretary Pompeo, you're also a very eloquent and strong supporter of aid to Ukraine. And as you laid out in a recent op-ed, it appears that part of your reasoning is that Putin winning in Ukraine would embolden the CCP and make a war over Taiwan more likely. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct. And Secretary Panetta spoke to that as well.
So let's just be very clear. If we do not further fund Ukraine now, war is more likely over Taiwan, which none of us want war over Taiwan or with China, and that's certainly what the American people do not want. Let me turn to my next topic. This is a picture of the CIA memorial wall honoring those who died in the line of duty. Last year, the CCP's secret police launched a recruitment campaign. They posted this picture with an article about the first CIA officer killed in the line of duty, whom the CCP claims they killed in Tibet in 1950. Now, here's the rub. If you look at this article, the headline reads, quote, "The first black star the CIA hung on the stone wall is related to China," exclamation point. Now, Secretary Panetta, I find this very disturbing. Nobody should glorify the killing of an American. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
And Chairman Xi came to San Francisco recently and told us that he wants to, quote, "make friends with us." But Secretary Panetta, this might be obvious, but friends don't glorify or laud the killing of each other's people, right?
Absolutely.
I think that this is yet another example of the need to always judge the CCP by their actions, not necessarily just their words. Let me turn to this other very interesting picture, and Secretary Panetta, you might recognize this. Secretary Panetta, this is you in the PRC in 2012, and it looks like you're receiving a very memorable gift from China's then Minister of National Defense, General Liang. Do you remember this episode?
I remember very well.
Is this hung in your dining room, by the way?
I don't know if I've ever brought that photograph with me.
Now, interestingly, not only is that plate very memorable, but this gentleman here, General Liang, was actually the last defense minister in China to not be prosecuted for corruption. The next 3 individuals to hold this position as Minister of Defense were all prosecuted for corruption and or purged, and many others in the People's Liberation Army have also been purged. Secretary Panetta, there have been numerous reports of Xi Jinping purging some leaders not because of corruption, but because they disagree with Xi's leadership. So here's my question. Can you rule out that Xi Jinping is purging people from the PLA because they disagree with his leadership?
You know, that defense minister that I met with, actually, we established a pretty good relationship in our ability to talk to one another. And as a matter of fact, we began to do military exercises together and continue to have a dialogue. And I was hopeful at that time that we could continue that relationship. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. And you've just indicated the amount of corruption and those that are being dismissed because Xi doesn't particularly like the way they conduct business. What that does is it undermines stability in China, and it undermines stability in the military.
Yeah.
The fact that we broke down our communication with China here is of concern because we need to be able to stay in touch with China when we have differences of one kind or another. I think the answer to your question is that Xi, by virtue of the way he's dealing with his military leadership, I think is undermining their ability to respond effectively to what they need to do.
Let me turn to my last topic. This is a picture of Joshua Wong. Secretary Pompeo, Joshua Wong is a prisoner because he led pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. He came to the consulate in Hong Kong and requested refuge in 2020. when you were Secretary, were you personally in favor of him receiving refuge?
Look, I don't want to talk about the discussions we had inside. I think the United States can always do more, whether it's for him, Nathan Law, Jimmy Lai, who's now being prosecuted. The United States can do more and do better to protect these people and their capacity to just do the basic things that every human being is entitled to speak their mind peaceably.
I call upon the CCP to release Joshua Wong, and I wish that we had provided him refuge at the time. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you.